exclusive conversation. Latha caught up with Mark Mobius of Franklin Templeton over the weekend and began by asking him if this earnings season will be the growth-giving season.
I think it's going to be. It's not going to happen quickly, but gradually you're going to see this happening. And the reason why I say that is the reforms that Mr. Modi wants to implement take time. It's not going to happen overnight. But he is making progress. And once that begins to kick in, so to speak, companies will begin to do much better. Productivity will increase. To just give you one example, the tax system. If he is able to implement the national value-added tax, the efficiency of companies in India will be incredible, because you now have really almost like 29 countries.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Each one has their own taxes. If I want to ship something from one place to another, I have to deal with the taxes. And I was talking to a number of companies about this, and they said, we're wasting billions of dollars with these taxes. And now, I'm not talking in terms of not paying taxes. They want to pay. But if it's done in an efficient way, in a national way, trade between the states will increase enormously. And of course, as you know, once you open up trade, there is productivity increase.
Yeah, well, even if we were able to take away about 50% of the warehouses, because now you have to have warehouses in every state. So that said, how important is the Bihar election for you? Will you see it as a referendum on the NDA government and Mr. Modi? If he were not to win that, will that deeply upset your, or somewhat change your growth forecast?
It will, let's put it this way, it will be a disappointment, but I don't think it will change the fundamental direction in which we're moving, because he's still in charge.
Yes.
And he will be able to implement a number of things, even if he doesn't have the support of Congress. So I think I would not be terribly disappointed, but I would be disappointed.
No, the problem is that he is hoping, as he wins state after state, that he will be able to get the majority in the upper house of Congress.
Yes, exactly. That'd be wonderful.
So will that postponement, Bihar's loss, could mean postponing your majority?
Yes.
So will you, will you at least stop incremental investments?
No, we would not stop, because we are continuing to invest. And there are many companies that are not totally dependent on these issues. To give you an example, here in Hyderabad, you have software companies that are really export-oriented and will not be impacted. But we're missing a lot if it does not happen.
Yes, that's a fair point, and all of us are hoping that at least the goods and services tax gets implemented. But speaking of software companies, will that be one of your top sectors if you were to discuss India sectorally? Software used to be everyone's favorite. Is it still a giant share of your investment?
It's a giant share of our investment, because these companies continue to grow. They continue to expand their services, and they have demonstrated they've become global companies, not only Indian companies. So it's very exciting.
But Wipro just recently gave us a softer than expected guidance. Other companies, even TCS, has not quite lived up to the pace of growth that it delivered earlier.
Yes.
So is it a smaller share of your, say, 100 rupee of investments? Has it declined, software investments, from, say, 30 to 25?
Well, with the price decline, when the price declines, of course, our weighting declines as well.
Okay.
But if the prices decline enough, we just add on. We continue to buy in.
But normally a software would be what, 10%, 20% of
I would say of our Indian investments, it should be at least 20% of our global funds.
Okay.
Now, of course, you must remember we have domestic funds, and those funds go into a variety of industries.
Okay.
The other area that we are particularly excited about is anything to do with the consumer, because per capita consumption is going up, and per capita incomes are going up, and we want to be exposed to that.
Okay. When you say consumption, would you mean durables? Would you mean air conditioners? We just had a couple of air conditioner companies posting excellent numbers.
Excellent.
Or do you mean, staples?
Both staples and durables, because households are being built. You're getting the expansion of apartments being purchased. They have to be equipped with refrigerators, washing machines, etc., etc. And of course, once these people move in, they're going to be buying the modern food and all the other equipment that they need.
I didn't hear you say finance. Normally people would say that if India is a growth story, the proxy of the growth story is the financial sector.
Yes.
Aren't you buying finance?
We do have finance in our portfolio. We have some of the big banks in our portfolios, yes.
A lot is happening in the banking space. 11 licenses for what are called payment banks have been given.
Yes.
They can take deposits, they can't give loans. And then there are 8 licenses given to small banks, and 2 more universal banks, banks that can do everything, have been licensed. How does that change your view of the legacy banks, the incumbent banks?
This is a very, very key question, because we have to watch the legacy banks to see how they adjust to this new challenge, because it is a big challenge. With the internet, with smartphones, smartphone companies will be able to apply for a license and begin doing transfers.
Yes. 4 of them have been licensed.
Oh, there you are. And that could take a lot of business away from the banks. So we have to see these banks step up to the challenge and establish their own internet friendly services.
Yes. No, many of them are doing that, but at the moment, would you scale back some of your banking positions?
Not yet, until we see how they're responding. And I think they are going to respond. And more importantly, the banking sector is expanding in any case.
Yes.
And an expansion of the payment services that you're going to see could actually add more business to the banks, because once there are a lot of people that don't have bank accounts.
Absolutely.
Once they start doing transfers, they may say, hey, in order to continue this, I may need a bank account. And hopefully the banks will then step in.
So the pie itself grows, you think?
The pie will grow, exactly.
Okay. Do you also buy non-bank finance companies? They have been yearning for a license, but they have not, many of them have got them.
We have not gone into that yet, but we are definitely looking at it.
Okay. And then finally, of course, telecom. You spoke about them getting licenses, the smartphone guys. Is that a sector that excites you? I mean, they paid a lot for spectrum, but
that's the problem. That's the problem. The problem with the telecom companies is they're spending a lot of money on spectrum and on capital investments. As soon as we see these companies reach their apex of capital investment, and as soon as we see their cash flow more and more dependent upon the expansion of the internet and data services, then they will become more interesting.
All right, that was a long chat. I had a walk the talk with Mark Mobius, and we will be playing you important snatches of that conversation through the day, through tomorrow, and of course you will get to hear the entire half-hour conversation later this evening and of course through the day as well. Very positive on India and actually quite positive on China as well. He thinks that the bulk of the funds are going to once again tilt towards emerging markets. But you should remember, he has forever been the guru of emerging markets. Well, now let's get